TIFU by having pornographic content on my phone at work.
Obligatory note, this did not happen today. It's taken me about 6 months of self-loathing to come to terms with what happened. Leaving out some details because paranoia. So I, 20-something woman, was in the office at work one day. Typically I work remote but was helping one of the partners at my company, 50-something man, with a small project. I really like and admire this partner. He's a great boss and just in general a good person to work for. Anyway, we were walking around the office chatting about the project and I had my phone open in my hand, taking some quick notes about what he's telling me. At some point during this I shoved my phone in my pocket. For some context, I have a habit of not locking my phone when it's idly in my hand or pocket. My friends and family make fun of me for being the one person in their lives who still regularly pocket dials them.
I don't know why I struggle with this, but I've also never really felt the need to work on it. Until now. Eventually I land at my desk where I tossed my phone, screen side up. We were still chatting and he went over to his desk to find a dock on his computer. I also had this dock on my computer, so being stupid/helpful me, I found it first and called him and another older man over to my desk to review it. I'm pointing at the dock on my computer and talking to both of them. No one's saying a word, which I momentarily thought was a little strange but figured they were just taking in the information. I finished my spiel and after a quick lull in conversation, my boss spoke up and began talking about the project. It's at that moment that I catch something flashing on my phone from the corner of my eye. I look over and my brain short circuits.
My heart stopped, my entire body got clammy, my insides shriveled up. I looked away, trying to listen to what he was saying, telling myself there was no way this was actually happening. I forced myself to look back at my phone screen where a naked woman was kneeling, pushing her breasts toward the camera with giant, flashing text that reads, "Alyssa wants to show you more." Another second of staring had me realizing that this was an Adam and Eve advertising email. Not that it really matters, but I've only ever purchased one thing from Adam and Eve nearly a decade ago. My phone must have opened to my emails while I was walking around with it open, and in a cruel twist of fate, out of all of the 10,000 plus unread emails in my inbox, it opened to this one. I had literally no idea what to do in this moment. I was silently begging my phone to dim or go to the lock screen.
After about 100 years, aka 10 seconds of Alyssa shoving her boobies up at us, I slowly moved my shaking hand over and pressed the lock button on my phone. My blood began to thaw. The ringing in my ears slowly faded, and I started hearing the conversation that's been happening between the two men wrap up. Some next steps formed that I'm entirely unaware of. Both men left the vicinity of my desk and I sat there dumbfounded and completely mortified, wondering how the hell I should proceed. Do I go try to explain to my boss what happened and apologize profusely? Do I pretend it never happened? Do I quit on the spot and move out of the country? While considering my options, my boss passed by my desk heading toward the door, leaving for the day as it's nearing 5 p.m. He stopped, politely filled me in on next steps, and gave me some direction. I was looking everywhere but his face, but for a moment we locked eyes. And he's smiling at me like he's amused. Knowing him, he mostly likely was. I squeaked out a goodbye and he walked out the door for the weekend. I waited about 5 minutes to be sure I wouldn't run into him in the parking lot, then hightailed it out of the office and immediately called my sisters to fill them in on what just transgressed. I spent the next few weeks mortified, could not let it go, and worked remotely so I didn't have to cross paths with him. My social anxiety soared higher than it's ever soared before, and I felt in my gut that at any moment I would be called into a meeting with HR and fired. Fast forward 6 months, we never ever spoke of it, and I'm still employed. Although it probably would have been the better move, I physically could not bring myself to bring it up to him to try to explain or apologize. The only consequence here was that this incident will forever haunt me and has been added to the Rolodex of embarrassing moments in my life to think over while I'm trying to fall asleep at night. Also now one of the owners of my company thinks I'm the woman who casually looks at porny content while I'm at work. So that's just great. Sharing this to hopefully give someone a good chuckle at my expense and ideally to take off some of the crushing weight of shame I've been carrying around. TLDR, my boss stopped by my desk while a pornographic image was up on my phone. I lost several years of my life and shrunk to about 4 inches tall due to pure humiliation.
Same thing happened to me. I was in the break room eating lunch and watching lock-picking lawyer vids. Guess what video came up as my coworkers walked by? The one where he picks a chastity cage. Yup.
I think they are going to recognize that it's an advertising email. I've never ordered anything from a toy lingerie store, and I have old emails that I've had to abandon because they got so bombarded by inappropriate spam. One of the best work friends I've ever made is a late 40s gay man. One day we had a lunch and learn in the office that he organized as our office volunteer philanthropy sponsor. He was going through a PowerPoint and then pulled up browser to show us how we could share the campaign to Instagram. His feed appeared and there was a risque photo of a man taking a mirror selfie of his bare bottom. We all gasped. He said, "Oh my. Well, let's try Facebook instead." To this day I still think it's hilarious. What an amazing story. I fully understand your reaction to it. I would have reacted in a similar way. But I'm working on that feeling of shame. It could just be a funny story, you have a good laugh about it, just depends on how you judge it. If it haunts you like that, work on it with a therapist. Life is too short to be tortured by memories. As a 50-something old guy myself, I can almost guarantee you they do not care that something like that popped up on your phone. If anything, they probably feel somewhat bad for you since they know how embarrassing something like that can be. Probably haven't given it much of a second thought since it happened. 57M here. If I saw that, I would get a good chuckle out of it. I've seen a lot worse and seriously doubt you meant anything personal about it. Guys don't generally consider that harassment. If you apologize, he'll probably just tell you to forget about it. Unless HR approaches you. I wouldn't worry.
Porn? That's a new Deg one from my game.
My high school math teacher accidentally pulled up a picture of his wife naked the first week of classes. Never recovered from that. I remember one of my incidents many years back when I was showing some funny video compilations on YouTube to my parents, and suddenly a clip in the video pops up where a dressed woman was pressing her breasts. I don't know why it was included in the video, as I instantly switched off the phone, cold sweat smile. We never talked about it again. It's been 6 months? You're good. You're not gonna hear from HR and you can let go of that shame. If anything, both were probably marveling at your very bad luck in that moment. And then the moment was gone. You did give me a good chuckle. Thank you, ha 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 ha, and wow, I loved your writing. Clapping hands, medium light skin tone.
Lol, entertaining story. Thanks for sharing.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.